Welcome to the Take a Seat Podcast. This is Mario.
And Clint.
Tonight we're talking about how our past relationships have made us better. Is that right?
Yeah.
Made us better, and then now in turn how our current relationships are getting the result of those past relationships. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that sounds good.
So what led to this coming to mind?
Man, what led to it was I was having a conversation with a friend of mine's friend, and this person's been going through so much relationship trouble. They're not in a relationship, but they desperately want to be in a relationship. And it's like they have a similar backstory to me. They were in the longest relationship of their life. Okay. Then that person ends up leaving them, and then they question everything about themselves and are on this like journey of being single now, trying to be in the dating world and trying to figure it out. You know,
that's rough.
Yeah, it's extremely rough. And you know, man, it was refreshing. So this person is a guy, and do I
know this guy?
I don't know. I don't know if you know him or not.
Not relevant, but sorry, I was just curious.
But this person's a guy, and man, like the way that his ex treated him, and the delusion that he's currently in of believing that this person was really a good person that he missed out on because of it being his fault, when in fact I don't think that it was solely his fault. I think there was a lot of immaturity on her part.
Right.
Yeah, man, like as far as my relationship, like I was in a 6-year relationship. Now, mind you, it was spats of on and off, but it was mostly 6 years, right? And that relationship was one of the biggest, I don't know if I would say a paradigm shift, but I'll say that for now. It was one of the biggest paradigm shifts of my life. It's like my reality was once one way, and then after the relationship, it was an entirely different way.
Okay.
The way that I looked at dating, the way that I looked at life, like everything changed after that relationship. And I couldn't tell while I was in that relationship how toxic it was. And I so dearly wanted to hang on to it because, like I said, I was delusional, man.
Right.
I was delusional. I was blinded by beauty. I was blinded by charm, and I couldn't see objectively where I was getting the shorter straw, you know? And but like I'm so grateful for it. Like that relationship really drove me to improve myself and have goals and a vision and work on work ethic and emotional security and being stable and consistent. Now, mind you, I still suck as a human being. Like, there's plenty of areas in my life where I am fully aware that are weaknesses that I would like to improve on.
Yeah, you're trash, dude.
I know. Yeah, thanks, man. But if I'm trash now, just imagine how much more trash I was back then.
Yeah.
Like, and you know, I'm probably being more hard on myself than what I should.
Most of us are.
Yeah. Because I was still a good guy. I was just ignorant to some things because I didn't have a mentor or a father to school me or
makes a difference.
guide me through the process of relationships. It's like, I love you, you love me, that should be enough, and it's like, yeah, no, that's not enough.
Not even close.
There's a lot of understanding people, not just the opposite sex, but understanding people and human nature that is necessary to make a relationship work.
Yeah.
And a lot of humility it takes to be in a relationship, a lot of hard work and effort. It's not always just having fun going out on dates. A lot of it is really hard work and discipline in a relationship, and compromise and negotiation, and just a lot of stuff that I just never thought of at that time in my relationship. But yeah, man, like it really got me into, so I don't know what I've said on this podcast, but we're not big enough to where people are going to listen to this and be like, dang, you already said this.
I gotta be honest, I forget some of the things I've been saying on here too. My girl we'll be talking about something and she's like, well, you didn't say that on the podcast. And I'm like, first of all, that was in June. I don't know what I said even last week. You can't really expect me to say that. I don't hear this back actively until like, okay, wait, I stood by this, so let me stick by this. No, I don't remember this either, so I get you.
No, dude, I'm clueless of what I ate yesterday. I can't list off anything that I ate yesterday. Like I just remember really, really important things that I say. And sometimes I don't. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like that relationship broke me, and it's made me study relationships, and it made me work on myself a lot.
Right.
And I mean, I'm still ignorant to a lot. I mean, as much as I may have learned, there's still a lot that there is to learn. But now I'm in this relationship and with Danae, and
I was like, wait, do you want to reveal her name? But I forgot you introduced her.
She was on the last podcast.
Yeah, sorry.
And I mean, it's not perfect. Right. By no stretch of the imagination is this a perfect relationship, but I think that there's really no such thing as a perfect relationship either.
Ever.
Yeah. Even my relationship with God, I can't act like I'm always happy with how he may go about doing things, even though at the end of the day, a lot of it's my ignorance of not understanding why he's doing what he's doing, when in fact, if I had his knowledge, I'd probably agree with him doing things the way that he's doing things. And that's also a thing that I experience in relationships, like ignorance and not understanding why a person is doing something will cause fights. And it's like, oh, well, I would never do that, or I would never say like that, or I wouldn't say it like that. But then it's like, you don't even know the backstory behind this person.
Right.
To really understand why they're even behaving like that. And it opens your eyes to how to better communicate with people. Like, I'm thankful for even this relationship, because me and her are drastically different. We're opposite sides of the spectrum. I mean, one, she's an introvert, I'm an extrovert. Two, well, we're very similar in the fact that we're both opinionated. We're extremely opinionated, and we love to freaking debate. Yeah. But outside of that, man, like, our views on many topics, even God, we will debate over religion and over the scriptures for hours on end, and to where it just feels like so contentious and it feels so draining. But I'm thankful that I'm with her, because ultimately I think a relationship is to make you a better person.
Yeah.
So that you make a bigger impact in the world. And yeah, and there's something fulfilling about the growth that you get from a relationship, even the difficult times. But yeah, man, like, I'm thankful that I went through that long relationship. And went through the quote unquote trenches of trying to figure out how to date out here. Not to say that I figured it all out. I'm just saying I got better, right? But it's like it really if I didn't go through what I went through, I wouldn't be able to even be with this girl right now.
Right.
I wouldn't be mature enough to handle situations in a way that is ultimately gonna keep us staying together. But what about you, man? Like, was there that one relationship for you that you feel like was the catalyst of improvement for you, or was it a culmination of all of the previous relationships to where now you're finally in this position to where you're like, man, I'm trying to settle down with this one and really.
Yeah. So I have a our friend Joe. He's married. You know, he married in his, I think, mid-30s.
Mhm.
You know, he swung around, did his thing, just like I did, you know,
Mm.
younger years. But I caught up with him about my relationship and all this, and because you know he and I, we have open conversation. Like he and I can talk about what you and I talk about, like you know, sexual experiences we've had, all this stuff. Like we're really great friends. Obviously, I'm not his closest friend, but I
Joe the
like,
pilot?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I
yeah.
like that I can talk to him openly about anything, and he welcomes it, and vice versa.
Yeah.
But he asked me, he's like, you know, how do you feel about your girlfriend now? Is she the one? You know, how do you think? And I told him, you know, my insecurities and my past traumas and my expectation that something can always go wrong always puts in the back of my head, this may not be the one. But that's, I admittedly say, that is insecurity. That is the human side of me that's always wondering what could go wrong.
Yeah.
So I know that my girl is the one, but here's the thing, okay? Now, not a lot of people may agree with this, but this is something that only a small amount of men that I've spoken to who are older, and I mean 40, 50 and up, keep this in mind. This is the only reason why I'm drawing this theory from. Do I apply it to myself? No. But it is always somehow in the back of my mind. So I meet a lot of guys throughout my life who are in their 40s, 50s, 60s. They've been married 20, 30, 40 years. And then they, out of nowhere, they get divorced. And then out of nowhere, they meet a partner at that later stage in life. And they all just kind of like settle and die together. Whatever. But of course, you know, you remember the person that you spent all those years with. It's impossible not to remember them. But I have this thing that I somewhat believe. That is that in your life, you will meet 3 women. This does not apply to women. It applies only to men.
Yeah, I think you told me this.
So you're going to meet 3 women in your life
Uh-huh.
that are going to be pivotal for your love life.
Mhm.
The first one is the one you meet high school, super early 20s. Like basically between 16 and 21 years old, you're going to meet that person. First one that's going to introduce you to puppy love and all that stuff where you don't know anything about boundaries. You don't know anything about relationships. You don't even know that you can't really do certain things because you're still learning this first one, right? You're enjoying your company, sex, all this stuff that young people do, right?
Yeah.
Just get it all out of the way. You're excited and you break up. You're all super sad and you're depressed and you question everything in life.
Mhm.
The second one comes when you least expect it. But by this time, you know somewhat who you are. This is like your mid to 25 to about 32. That's when you meet this person, this woman that you have a relationship with at that point, and you're a little more mature, you're a little more established per se, and you somewhat have a better understanding of life and women, because at that point, I assume that you've already slept around a bit. You know, you got it all out of your system. That's the one that you marry, the first one, or the one you marry. Let's just stick with that.
What do you mean?
That's just the one you marry. That's probably going to be your wife or whatever. Like you're going to
25
meet
to
25 to about 31, 32. That's the one. That's the age where you're going to
gotcha.
find the one you're going to marry,
Okay.
right? And then the third one is going to be the one that you're with when you're old, crippled, you have no energy, you have no funds, all you have is each other's company. Now, here is the silver lining. This person, this woman, can be the person that you married at, the second one, or it's gonna be the one that you meet at a later age. It could be someone that you rekindled a flame with, that you knew each other as kids. You never thought about each other, but life went by, and now you're just at that stage in life where you just want to enjoy life. You don't want to die alone, because I don't think anybody wants to die alone, and that's it.
Yeah.
Because that's a repetitive pattern that I have found. Now, again, I don't say that I apply that to my life. I'm just stating a theory that I've learned based on other people's experiences. And so far, it has kept up. Because I've met the woman that I believe I'm going to marry, that I want to marry. She's an amazing woman. I hope and I pray to God that we never split up. I want to die with this person because she's just an amazing woman. But if the day came where I don't, and for some reason something happens down the road, I will remember this conversation and say, okay, who am I going to meet now when I'm 60, 70, whatever the case may be, assuming I live to that age? You know what I mean? But the first relationship I had, it was exactly that. And it was this, well, here's the weird thing. I've never had an actual relationship that lasted more than 6 months. So the first one, high school, I want to say it was high school. And it was actually March 2012, my senior year, to about maybe November of that same year. But that one was a girl that at the time, I mean, look, I was an idiot, frankly. This is what I'm saying, but like, this is the first one you meet where you're both just like, it's all puppy love, it's all sex, you enjoy each other's company. You don't know anything about each other's standards or what you want for your life. You're just enjoying each other's companies. That's it.
Yeah.
Going to Starbucks every day or going to IHOP every day is just enough for you. That doesn't matter to you. All you do is just enjoy each other, right?
Yeah.
Exactly what I said happened. Broke up, crepid. Yeah, so feeling like I wanted to die, it was a horrible breakup. In my eyes, it really wasn't. It's just that first relationship that, we all have it. And if you don't have, you'll have it at some point. But after that, from 2012 to 2019, I mean, all I did was sleep around left and right. I mean, dude, that was a mess, frankly. And now my outlook in life is completely different. See, when you're single, or at least me, I'll say me, my perspective or my perception on life was single, I'll do whatever I want, go wherever I want, sleep with whoever I want, never check in with anybody. And it was great for the time that it lasted. But in my case, it was depressing because as I grew older and was still living the same lifestyle, I realized that I was growing out of it and that this wasn't for me anymore. This specifically hit, I'm 27 now. I want to say I was like 23, 24, right when it hit me like, you know what? I don't think this is for me anymore. I'm tired of sleeping around. Like I said it before in this podcast, at one point, sex became like drinking water to me. Like sometimes I just drink water without even thinking about it. Like I'm thinking about lunch and I just drink water. You know what I mean? Like at one point I did say like I was having sex with this girl years ago. Um, and I was thinking about what I was gonna have for dinner at that time. I wasn't even focused on the act itself. Like that's how detached I was, and like that was one of the things that led to me like, you know what, I need to change my perception of all this, right? So my girl met me right when I was already on the later stages of like maturity per se, or like being ready for a relationship. Because I don't think even 2018 version of me is dateable, frankly. No, I wouldn't have dated me. Uh, but 2019 was a pivotal year. That's when I was like, okay, yeah, like I'm ready. You know, I'm trying to look. I mean, I told this to my girl. I was talking to quite a few, but she stuck out because of who she was, you know? And she has helped me improve my life, improve my lifestyle, my standards, like for who I want. See, when I was single, I knew I wanted to do better. I knew I wanted better, right? Not just financially, but also in lifestyle, also in quality of life, right? But it was that there was something missing that wasn't pushing me, right, inside of me to want to do that.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that you need a partner to do this. I'm just saying that in my instance, it helped because seeing her be successful, seeing her be striving in her career, you know, both of us persevering through the pandemic, which frankly, we were one of the few that frankly the pandemic kind of strengthened our relationship. Um, but it's because of her that I had this motivator thing sense in me that was like, you know what, we need to get ourselves together. Like, this is a really good woman. This is a good partner. This is something different than I've ever expected to receive, frankly. And I now have like, I don't just want to finish my degree just to do better, to have a career, etc., but to have like my kids see that as like, okay, dad got his degree through all this, you know, he came from nothing, like he built himself on the way up. Mom did the same thing. Like we are trying to be exemplary for our kids, you know, whenever that stage happens. It's not, we're not doing that now, don't get me wrong. I'm just stating. Like
Right.
we see that.
Yeah.
We know that's what we want for each other and for ourselves. And but see, even that thought process is nothing. I couldn't have had that 2-3 years ago before had thinking about her or like being with her, should I say? Like before her, all I thought about was, okay, I know I want a better car. I know I want to make more money, but that was the extent of it. Everything else that came from that was strictly because of being in this fruitful and basic, really amazing relationship. To be honest with you, yeah. And I grew into like learning boundaries and learning to respect her, learning to respect things that even I don't like. I hate some things about some things the way that she sees them, right? But not like I hate them, so I hate her. It's just more like I don't understand it, but maybe it's not my job to understand. Maybe it's my job to respect it, and in turn, just like, okay, that's how you see it. All right, that's how you see it. I'm not against it. I'm not for it, but I understand. That's it. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah. That
Um,
makes sense.
and vice versa. Like I had boundaries with friends, and I had boundaries with like girls I was messing around with, but I never really had boundaries in relationships, and like knowing how to navigate certain lines, like family history or like ex boyfriends, etc. Like I knew I did. I in my life, right? I don't talk to ex girlfriends because I don't like it because I've always, in my experience, I've always somehow led back to it. You can chalk it up to me being an idiot and frankly not having standards because frankly that's what it was. But that's part of the reason why I just decided in my life like this ain't for me because I'm always going back to some toxic stuff. I know myself by now. I want nothing to do with this, right? Her, it's different because she grew up with these people. Like, she's from Galveston. So Galveston, everybody knows each other. It's almost impossible not to see each other. So it's kind of like, I just told her, look, I trust you all the way. I don't even care if you have them on social media, but it's a problem if y'all start talking again, or if you're having conversations, you're like, hey, how are you doing? How's this? How's that? Your past has nothing to do with me, and they don't need to know anything about me. The same way I don't care about them. It's not because I don't like them or I hate them or like screw them, etc. No, it's just like, I see this as our time is now. That time is past. What does it say in the Bible? Don't worry about tomorrow because that has its own problems, right? Basically, live in the present. I'm living in the present. I don't worry about who she's going to talk to in the future, or like if we break up, or like, and the same thing, I apply that to the past. Like, I see that as, I don't see a reason why you need to be friends with your ex-boyfriend. I don't see the reason why you need to be even talking to them or anything like that. Granted, certain situations are different. I think I've already told you about that. So that makes sense in a sense, you know? But it's because of her, right, that I'm even learning these types of things. Like, I didn't really acknowledge or even know that these types of things exist in relationships. Again, if you're single, if you're prioritizing your career and all that, it's great. You know, thrive on your own. That's good. It's good for everybody to do that at some point. But at some point, you need to be aware of how to navigate the landscape that is relationships. Because every relationship is a whole hill. It has its ups and downs. Like, no one relationship is the same thing. No, and I didn't understand that before. Like, before, people would say, well, every relationship has its problems. Every marriage has its problems. I used to think it was like, well, all right, so the guy's cheating or the wife's cheating. It's one of those two things. Not necessarily, because you're both human at the end of the day. Like, objectively speaking, just by our very nature, even as primitives, men and women didn't get along. Men used to have to hit women over the head with a club in order to get them to submit. That should just tell you, by nature, we don't get along. But God made us in a certain way where we need each other. And I don't know why he did that. It's like, I think we've said the expression, or at least I have, and you've heard it before. So it's a kind of misogynistic, but it is true. Women can't live with them, can't live without them. Now, that's a negative outlook of negative way of looking at relationships and women, but there's a subtle truth in that, is that sure, women to us by our very nature, to most of us guys, just do our own thing. Most of us don't like to be attention seekers. We just want to be left alone, etc. We want you to be with us, but don't leave us. We don't want you around all the time, but we don't want to be left alone. That's basically it. And it doesn't make sense, but it's just something in us that's built that way. And it's not going to make sense because I'm sure that something like that applies to women. Maybe something like they want us around, but they don't want us to have attachment issues. Possibly, like something like that. Does that make sense? I know my girl, she likes seeing me, but she doesn't want to see me all the time. You know, and again, I know that's kind of like counterintuitive, but when you're in a relationship, especially at our stage, like we're a year and 10 months in, it makes sense right now. You know, the expression of every marriage has its problem makes sense because every relationship has its problems. And it doesn't have to be something like abusive or something. It could just be something like we don't see eye to eye right now, but are we going to work towards a middle ground, you know, to where we can, okay, this line isn't crossed, this line isn't crossed. Cool, we're good. But even that thought process is something that I never would have learned had I still stayed single. You know, like this is game that we have a friend who's single. I've tried to drop game on him about relationships and like the reality of dating. Like, you will never, I guarantee this. I don't care how rich you are. I don't care how poor you are. You will not, in my eyes, my opinion, ever meet a woman that would 100% be, unless you're like, what are the people that wear all black and like, they have like long beards?
Yeah.
Amish. Unless you're Amish, you will never, ever, in my belief, meet a woman that will be quiet, do every single thing that you say, unless you're Amish or Jewish, one of those two. And even then, Jewish people, I've seen some relationships, they ain't like that.
Maybe Muslim.
And Muslim, well, yeah, but they cut their heads off if they speak back. So, you know, those extreme situations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of went on a long run, but it's a lot to process, man. But I mean, nonetheless, I am grateful that I have my girlfriend. I am grateful that I've been able to grow with her, and I look forward to the future. You know, whatever it may bring, whether it is marriage or kids or anything else that comes with it. Because frankly, I have no interest in the dating scene currently. I think it's really messed up. I think everybody's all over the place. I think that, I mean, I see it through some other friends who I know who are single, and even though they like to party and mess around with girls, part of the reason why they do that is because they have yet to meet somebody that they think is like stable enough to want to establish a relationship with, you know. And I'm glad that, thank God, I met my girlfriend, because man, she took me out right at the right time, because since then, dude, I'm in tune with the dating scene only because I see, you know, relationship stuff, and I look at all this advice stuff. It's a mess. Like, dude, since November of 2019 till now, man, the world has evolved for the worse.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm sure Jordan Peterson said it at some point.
No, actually, ironically, Jordan Peterson doesn't think that. Let me not misquote him. He was asked in an interview if men and women, like if men have a more difficult time with modern women than they did in the past. Like, let's say you take a man that's single trying to find a good single woman in the 50s versus a man that's single trying to find a good woman in today's day, right? And Jordan Peterson surprisingly said that he doesn't think that it was any harder, that it's the exact same. That even at that time, it was really difficult, and trying to find a good woman was just as difficult at that time as it is today. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And the reason I say that's interesting is because I don't really know the truth. I mean, I wasn't born in that time, but I remember I was at a pool hall, like billiards, and there was this lesbian waitress that was helping these two older men. They were like mid-60s, like 65, 66, something like that. And they were like eyeballing this girl because she was attractive, and they were when she walked away, they were like, what a waste. Like, what a waste, as in she's a lesbian, so it's like, what a waste of a beautiful person, right?
Right.
And they ended up striking up conversation with me, and they were telling me, they were like, yeah, back in my day, you used to be able to just get any woman, and they would at least be a decent woman. But today, y'all have it really hard. And I'm like, that's interesting. So that it's like, I don't really know what the truth is, per se.
I would say the truth is what Jordan Peterson said, simply because men are not the same as men were back then either.
Yeah.
The same way women have evolved into something else men have.
Yeah.
It's not an unequal thing.
That makes sense.
It's very much the same.
During a break, we were joined by Danae, so
Sorry, guys. I had to say something because I just couldn't listen, didn't say that. So I had to say something.
Like
Sorry.
most women, it happens. Just kidding. But I agree. I mean, look, I notice from my perspective, the the game's changed. Like, Jordan Peterson is cool now. I know he has his perspective, but I highly doubt that Jordan Peterson has been in Bumble or Tinder. I highly doubt that Jordan Peterson has tried to meet someone on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. Mm-hmm. See, like, that's an aspect of the reality that most people live in. It's not so much like, I'm not saying he's wrong. Of course he's right. Every stage of every decade has had its problems with modern dating and all that. I'm not even denying that. Of course they have. Mm-hmm. But 2010 onward, this last decade, we've been plagued with social media.
Yeah.
That has been single-handedly probably the biggest contributor to the state of the dating world and why things are the way they are right now, both for men and for women. Like, I know plenty of women from my girls' friends. The amount of nonsense they have to put up with just to even get a decent guy that knows how to say good morning once in a while is ridiculous.
So, you know, what's funny is you actually watch this guy. I think you do, because you've mentioned him in the past. You know The Roommates, right?
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson was on The Roommates.
Really?
Yes. And he was being interviewed by that guy from The Roommates. And he was the one that asked the question to Jordan Peterson, asking, do you think that men have a more difficult time now than they did in the past because of social media and because of all of these things? And that's what he was replying to. And I was pretty freaking shocked.
What did he say?
Exactly what I said. He was like, no, I think that it's the exact same thing, that men have always had it difficult and women have always had it difficult, and it's just dating is difficult. I'm like, okay. I mean, I'm paraphrasing and I'm not quoting him exactly.
Right.
But, like, that's the gist of it.
It's a fair take. Again, I'm not against it. Now, part of the reason why I'm not against it is because I'm sure that Jordan Peterson is an old school type of guy. Like, if he wanted to approach a woman, he would go up to her and start conversation with her. Yeah. See, in my experiences, doing that old school way, significantly more successful in just getting a phone number or just talking, having something of a more amicable, established relationship. Not like you boyfriend, girlfriend, but like you have a different level of respect for this guy who walked up to you and started talking to you than you do for the guy that hit you up on Twitter saying, hey, you have a great butt. Like, I've heard that directly from the women that get all these DMs, or even from my sisters. Like, dude, I don't need to talk down about them. So,
your sisters?
Yeah, because I was going to say, well, they're not the best looking, but I was like, wait, that's not going to come out the wrong way. I'll just say that every woman gets DMs, every single one of them.
Yeah.
I'm sure you do, Danae, at some point. So, with that in mind, every single one of them has told me, including my sisters, they always prefer the guy that comes up to them. Something about it is just more attractive than the guy that hits them up saying, hey, nice butt. Hey, how's your day going? You know what I mean? Yeah. And in my experiences, I've been a lot more successful in that. Ironically, though, my girl and I met the other way via messaging only. We met on Tinder. And when we first met, see, this is what I mean by, like, this was God. Like, there is no way that, I don't know, it wouldn't have worked. I don't know, in the past. Like, I have no explanation.
I'm surprised that it even worked, period. That y'all met each other on Tinder of all dating apps.
Exactly. Because she said the same thing. Like, she didn't expect anything out of this. Like, she thought we were just going to mess around, and that was pretty much it. I told her, man, you should have been lucky enough. Like, lucky you, we matched. But that's a joke. Yeah. No, of course not. But I agree. Every generation has had its problems. I mean, Drake says it all the time,
What does Drake say? This is about to be stupid.
Drake is the epitome of the wrong things that have evolved in us over the last 10 years.
Agreed. No, Future is the epitome.
Well, Future is the toxic side.
Yeah.
Drake is what I know
the majority?
I used to be. Yeah, I want to say that are like nice guys, but really, you ain't about nothing.
Right.
All you are is just about yourself, and then you just want to move up and then just use me for my time,
Yeah.
and then move forward and then make yourself the victim.
Yeah.
Like, I know, I was there. Like, there is no, I know these guys, man. Like, I can just tell just by looking at them. I know some of them now. Then, whatever. But Drake, yeah, man, it's oof. That's another thing, dude. Like, for some reason, do you think that pop artists or that popular artists per se influenced society overall? Like, obviously,
Yes.
recently, of course, but even before this, do you think they influenced?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Think of an example prior to like 2009.
The 80s, metal. I mean, you know that there's an influence when people start changing their dress wear to look like somebody. That's already a sign of compromising your identity for somebody else's identity.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So they're having some impact on society. Dude, let me not say we. Young people are more influenced by pop culture than they are by world leaders. And you would think that if you're going to admire anybody, it would be some sort of president, it would be some sort of business owner, it would be somebody that's making a positive impact in society rather than rapping about drugs and guns or rapping about sex.
Right.
But it's not that way.
Yeah.
They don't dress like politicians in middle school and high school.
Yeah.
They dress like rappers and singers.
I mean, probably the number one reason why is because politicians or really world figures like that, none of them have any drip. So, like,
that's stupid. That's exactly what it is.
They all dress like their age, man. Like, nobody wants to admire someone that looks like they shop at suits from Old Navy or something. It's like, nobody wants to admire that.
You're right. If they had drip, they'd probably have teenagers come.
Oh, of course. Why do you think Joe Biden was so popular, man? He acted like super cool. Trump acted like everybody's dad. That's why a lot of young people hated him, man. I'm sure there's somewhere out there, some survey was like, yeah, is Trump evil? Yeah, he reminds me of my dad. Something like that, dude. I don't know. But all this to say, man, like, I love my girl. Not just because obviously I love my girl, but like the things that have come with being with her, the things that I've learned, not just about her, but about myself.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Let's get into that. What have you learned about yourself through this?
Well, one, I hate women.
Yeah, I mean, clearly.
Yeah.
That's what makes the most sense. That's how you have a healthy relationship.
It's weird, man. Like, look, obviously I'm joking. But it wasn't until her that I was like, man, early on, but if we had some type of like tiff, I was like, oh, I don't have to deal with this. I went, bye. Mm-hmm. But I never did. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to. Like, something in me was like, like, she's a good woman. Mm-hmm. You know, why do we want to leave? You know what? Okay, so what are we actually disagreeing about? Mm-hmm. Why do I actually get upset about this, right? But see, that thought process of breaking down my own opinion and my own emotions about a situation only came after her. That's why, like, I'm saying I learned about myself because I learned how to make that type of inner connection, right? Like how to have that breakdown and how to, like, what's what I'm looking for. Not calm myself down, but dissect my own opinions or my own emotions per se, so that I can target specifically, like, okay, well, where is this coming from?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Instead of like, I don't like it, so screw you. Mm-hmm. Which is what I probably would have done years ago. Right? No, I did do that years ago. But that was like not acknowledging inner issues, you know? And saying like, well, I'm hurt from my past, so I'm going to treat you like this because of that. It's a cop-out. No, sort your own problems out first, you know? If you got to go be single and go sleep with everybody just to figure out that, hey, maybe I don't like that many penises at once. Go for it. If you need to go find God in order to discover that, you know what, I want a fruitful relationship, I want a good man, go for it, you know?
Mhm.
But sometimes, like in my case, you don't learn that. You don't have that thought process until you're in a relationship. Like, I knew that I wanted something better, and like I said earlier, my better at the time was make a little more money, have no debt, right? Be fine in my apartment. Loved it. Life was amazing. Now, to me, better is getting a better career, making a lot more money, but not for myself.
Yeah.
It's to make sure that she's okay.
Yeah.
It's to make sure that if we have kids, that they're okay. You know, like that's an elevated standard that
Yeah.
I would never have developed
Yeah.
without her.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why, like I'm saying, without her, more than likely there wouldn't be this version of me
Mhm.
now, right?
Yeah. Yeah, women bring out the worst and the best of men, but women make men better.
Yeah, I agree.
To a man that wants to actually grow, he will grow from women.
Yeah, you will.
Women know exactly where they have. I don't know. They have X-ray vision, dude. They can see right through you. Know exactly what buttons to push.
Yeah.
To make you grow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, don't get me wrong. Like my girl, she actually never pushed me to do anything. She never pushed me to. She was never like, you should do this, you should do that.
Right. You were just inspired by.
I was inspired by it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like seeing her thrive and seeing her do better made me want to do better, but not just for me, but for us.
Yeah.
You know, that's that like dad game at that point. Like a single guy that's always messing around and maybe not even messing around, just doing his thing, you know, having fun with his friends left and right. He's never gonna understand the thought process of a father or someone that wants to be a father. It's like, you know what, I have to think outside of me. I have to think, okay, I need to make better decisions because I have people that are gonna depend on me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have to think outside of my own paradigm.
Yeah.
Like, that's dad game. And that's
Huh.
something that I definitely didn't think about before my girlfriend.
Huh. That's interesting.
How so?
It's interesting because I feel like I don't know exactly when that happened for me, but I've always been thinking about my wife and my children.
Yeah.
Through my singleness, everything that I did was for my wife and my children that I didn't have yet. So it's just interesting that you meet her and you see, dang, I need to level up. I need to be this type of man. And I don't know exactly what. Well, yeah, I don't know exactly what sparked that. I think it was just along like my self-improvement journey of probably watching videos, and something probably clicked one day when I was watching some video. Maybe it was Jordan Peterson, who knows?
Yeah.
I highly doubt it because I was thinking this before I even got introduced to him. But yeah, I don't know, but you're absolutely right though. Like, it's dad game.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely dad game, and it's a better way of being.
Yeah, definitely, and it's not.
Have you read the Way of the Superior Man?
No.
Maybe it was that book for me. The Way of the Superior Man. So I used to follow a dating coach named Coach Corey Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that. You know that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he set me on the right track for the most part in a lot of ways. Some ways, not so much. But one of the books that he recommended every man read is The Way of the Superior Man. And yeah, it's amazing. And it talked about feminine energy versus masculine energy. It talked about the way that we communicate. It talked about the 3 levels of manhood. The first stage of manhood is focused on self and self only. the second level of manhood is focused on self and family. And then the third level of manhood is spirituality, where it's focused on the world as a whole and impacting the world. And it goes beyond just your community. And I was like, wow, like, dude, that book was extremely insightful, dude. But I think that's what made it click for me. Was I was like, oh man, like I really need to get my life together.
Yeah. And I remember. See, I didn't even know that, but what I said correlates with that.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know that. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm so amazing. No, I don't know this girl. We went to high school together, but I knew her through a friend of ours, Chris, not Kate, the other one. But for privacy, I don't want to say his last name.
Yeah.
But the other one.
Yeah.
Years ago, we went to this bar, and you met his friend, who was the boyfriend, and that night they got into like this big fight right there at Boheme. You remember that?
No, I don't remember that.
Dude, you were there. I remember that because they were going at it. Like, they were talking about stuff that nobody should have known.
I must have been ignoring all of that.
Probably, because I'm sure you didn't.
Oh! I remember the friend with the boyfriend.
Yeah.
But I don't remember any stuff being put out there.
You know, dude, she was talking about sex and like she's unsatisfied, and I was like,
oh.
Yikes! Yeah.
Wow, I wasn't hearing all of that.
Yeah, but that's not the point. Like, what? Dang it! I got focused on that, and I lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
Sex.
No, before that.
Yeah.
So it was in regards to the stages. So I remember speaking to her, and she said, like, she was asking me, we were catching up or whatever. She was like, and I was telling her what I was thinking at that time. This is like April, maybe spring 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember telling her, like, yeah, I'm trying to get my degree. I'm trying to get settled. I'm trying to do this, and that. I want to have a family. And at that time, she said, how old are you? I told her like 25. She said, yeah, that sounds about right. Most guys, she was like a psychology major or something like that. Yeah,
that's right.
She was like, yeah, most guys from like 25, you remember now?
Yeah,
25 to like 27, they start wondering where their life is going, and they want to get it all together and all that stuff.
No, you know why I remember this, dude? Because I didn't even know if they were boyfriend and girlfriend. And the whole time, like, I thought that they were just friends. Oh, wow. And I thought that was their dynamic the whole time because they didn't act like boyfriend and girlfriend whatsoever.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah. And then I found out later on they were boyfriend and girlfriend. If I would have known ahead of time they were boyfriend and girlfriend and I would have been hearing that type of stuff, that would have like made my ears perk up and been like, what the heck is going on with y'all?
Yeah.
But because I thought they were friends, I thought she was talking about somebody totally different. And yeah, I was like, whoa, this is, now that you're saying this, it all makes sense now. Yeah. That's weird.
Mm-hmm. But she said it best, and even she knew this before I realized it. Like, yeah, there are stages, and it correlates with what Corey Wayne is saying. Like, this is I'm like right at stage 2 and stage 3 because I'm also thinking down the road. I'm thinking about my family.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the impact we're gonna have on our family tree.
Right.
Like, like I think I'm always thinking about this, and it's a burden that I don't wish on anybody. But I'm always thinking, like, man, if I die, this is the end of my dad's tree. Like, my dad, obviously, not the best, but who cares? None of us are. But if I die, who's gonna carry our name?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah.
If we die, everybody moves on. We just not. I mean, I don't expect anyone to like sob and die over me dying. Obviously,
yeah.
Life keeps going.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I may be busy on the day of your funeral, so I may not show up.
That's cool. I mean, I'll be in your dreams. Believe me. I'll be
coming
right
nightmares.
for you, dude. I'll be right there. But it's just interesting, how you develop once you're in a relationship and the changes that come, whether it's by design or just by nature, man. Like, it just happens. And I say it all the time. Like, I love my girlfriend. I've said it in previous podcasts, and she knows this. This isn't something she has to question or anything. Like, the insight I've been able to get these last year and 10 months is something that I never had in 25 years prior to that. And for that, even if for some reason down the road it wasn't to work, you would always have my gratitude because she helped develop part of who I am now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's all I got, man. I mean, do you have anything else?
No. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, man, and good luck to y'all. You know, this is still a young relationship.
Yeah.
Still have a lot to learn about each other and yourself. You know?
Mm-hmm.
See things one way now. A year from now, you may see them differently.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah.
I hope you do.
Absolutely.
That being said, thank you for joining us. Like, share, subscribe. We got one new subscriber, by the way.
Nice.
For the first time in
Congratulations
like a
and welcome.
month. Yeah, welcome. We upload almost every 2 to 3 weeks, so you know.
I was like, wait a second. No, we don't.
we upload somewhere like at least once a month. So
Realistically, we upload once a week. Sometimes we'll miss a week. But most of the time, we upload every Monday.
We have stuff that happens.
In the morning.
It happens, you know, whatever. But thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting. Shout out to Jesse and Mondo, man. I know they still listen to this.
Yeah, shout out to Jesse.
I hope
and
y'all are
Mondo.
doing well. Y'all have my phone number. So, you know, it is what it is. But this is Mario.
And Clint.
Y'all have a good night. Bye.